Okay, so we need to actually import some assets into our scene here. Right here we have this assets folder in this window down here, and we actually want all of our content to be in here so we can just drag it into the game. So how do we do that? If we navigate to the location of the game on the hard drive, wherever you saved it, so I've got this Infinity folder here, you can see I have this assets folder, and that's the folder we're currently in right here. So all of my game assets, the 3D objects, the video, the audio assets, we're going to put them all in here. Okay, so we're going to have that scenes folder and this new terrain asset. We're going to go ahead and pull up all of our downloaded assets here. What we want right now is the vids, the models, the images, the fonts, and the audio files. So I'm going to grab all these folders here, and I'm just going to drag them, Control C, Control V. And if you look in the game is going to update and install all of those, so we'll have access to them right away. This may take a couple minutes on your computer. Some of you guys that are watching the file names know how amazing these song selections are. I actually had one of my students go and get them for me. I asked no questions, and he came back with some mega memey music. So I'm pretty excited about that. One of the funnest things about game design is clicking buttons and hearing music play, especially when it's good music. So awesome! Now all our assets are imported. We can move on to a little texturing and trees in the next video. I'll see you then.
Throughout these tutorials, you may see a video that says update. That just means something has changed within Unity. For instance, you see that I have 3 different versions of Unity right here, and it's important for me to keep updated. So something that's changed from your project is the terrain. So let's right-click, create 3D object, terrain. Now, within this terrain editor, it's very much the same. I can still mound up and create really cool star terrain, or whatever, depending on which brush I use. But what has changed is the material. So if we pop over here and change from material from built-in standard to custom here, and if we just try to drag this image over, notice it won't let us. What we have to do is create a brand new material and then assign this texture to it. So I'll right-click, create material, and we'll just call this dirt. And all I have to do now is drag this clay over here to this albedo shader, and then if I go back over to my terrain, I can drag this dirt material right there to material, bam, just like that, it works. Now, to change the scale and tiling of this, I just click on dirt and I change tiling. Well, let's go something like 50 by 50. Hit enter, and now we have our texture. Okay, I'll see you in the next lesson.
Okay, so now let's actually get to texturing this sucker. If we go over to this Paint Textures tool, we can hit Edit Textures right here and Add Texture. And we have this little pop-up window up here. So we need to select one, and as you can see, it's got all the textures pulled up in because we imported them all into Unity. So we can just grab this clay ground texture and hit Add here. And it doesn't look amazing. We do have all these repeats going on. I'm not super worried about that because we are going to actually have our camera positioned down somewhere like this where it won't matter as much. And this is a very light sized texture. It's not very big. We could definitely go and find more and better textures or edit this later in Photoshop. Not going to worry about that right now. I just want to keep moving on, and I actually want us to get some trees. So if you look in the models folder here, grassland, and we have this prefab grassland tree. It's kind of a cool looking polygonal red tree from an alien planet. Okay, so how do we add this tree to our terrain? Well, if we click back on our terrain tab here and go to the next one, we can actually add a tree. So let's go ahead and hit Edit Trees here, Add Tree, and we need to drag a tree prefab up here. Go ahead and grab this grassland tree here, drag it up there, hit Add. Perfect. Now you don't see any trees because that would be silly. Now we need to actually paint where we want the trees to be. So I can just drag my brush here and behold, trees. Tons and tons of trees. More trees than you could ever possibly cut down and use for firewood, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, alien trees all over the place. We can also randomize things like their color variation here and their tree height, which I definitely want to do because these all look the same, and they're not. So now when I paint, I'll get random sizes and colors of trees, okay? Much more realistic considering we're on an alien planet with alien trees. Those are some big stinking trees right there. I'm gonna undo that. That just hurt my eyes. Okay, Once again, the navigation to pan around, holding Alt, or you can just middle mouse button, but you can hold Alt to spin around your scene. Really paint a cool scene. This is your time right now. Okay, I'm calling it good on the trees though. But what I do want to do is I want to drag these trees in here one by one without painting them, because I want our epic battle to happen with a little epic treeage right next door. Okay, so awesome. Now you know all about terrain. You could go online and find other trees, or in fact I found them in the asset store right here. Now's a good time to talk about the asset store. You can click on the asset store and type in free and get all kinds of cool content, so definitely check it out. That's where I found this really cool tree. I'll go back to scene view. Okay, so in the next video we're actually going to get to Shaggy Rogers. I'll see you then.